Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. In today's video, we are going to be recapping the month of April and prepping for the month of May. So if that is of interest to you, then please keep watching. So April is officially behind us, and April was definitely an interesting month, but it's a new month now. We're in the month of May, and I just feel like for me, May marks the end of the school year. Same thing for my husband. So honestly, I'm just kind of refreshed and starting anew in the month of May. So I thought we would talk about how we did with our finances for the month of April, and then talk about our April goals, and then move into prepping for May. So starting out with our April budget, I'm gonna first share our financial to-dos, tasks, and goals. We wanted to pay for my clinical exam, and I mentioned this previously that on March 31st, I actually requested to take the exam, and then on April 1st, they actually approved me to take the exam, and they issued me an auth to test. And so I then went forth and took that information to actually schedule it. So basically you have to pay for it and get approval, and then once you get approval, you can schedule it. So between March 31st and April the 1st, I took care of those things. We wanted to save $1,500, which we will have done. We wanted to invest 15% of our paychecks, which we will have done. Pay our monthly credit card bill. Save $245 for sinking funds. First of all, I didn't share about the paying credit card bill. We did pay our monthly credit card bill. We pay it every month. And then we wanted to save $245 for sinking funds, but I decided against it for the month of April. Sometimes, even though we can do it, I sometimes just don't really prioritize it, mainly because I don't know, I'm not really a sinking funds girly. I get into it and then I get out of it. And I think the reason why I don't get into it is because it seems like extra work. And I guess to me, like as an example, we pay our car insurance every 6 months. Sometimes we save up a little bit each month so that we can pay it every 6 months. But then other times I'm just like, well, we got to pay it either way. So no matter how you slice it, the money's going to have to come from our savings or our monthly income to pay for this. So I guess it's one of those things where, let's say if we were saving up for some big trip or something, we might consider really taking these short-term savings accounts more seriously. But we do have money in the account currently, and I don't know, as far as I'm concerned, it's just as long as there's money in there, we're good to go. So I did not transfer to our buckets the money for the sinking funds, because sometimes the money just stays in our checking account. I don't know, it's really not that serious. To me, that's just me personally though. I wanted to turn in my mileage for work, which I did. Pay our cell phone bills, so we did do that. I had 3 months. I had enough credits to cover my cell phone bill for 3 months, so I paid my cell phone bill well, I didn't have to come out of pocket, but that was paid for the next 3 months. And then my husband's was due in April as well, and we paid his credit card or his phone bill in April. I was thinking about buying a birthday gift for my friend. Didn't do that. I was only going to do that if I were going to go be with her for her birthday shenanigans, and I did not travel to do so. So I happen to live in when I moved to Georgia after, I met my husband where I was going to college and where he was doing an internship as well. And then he moved back home to Georgia. I would eventually follow him. And so in doing so, I do have a best friend who lives not far from here in the state of Georgia. And I have like a few people here or there that I know who live in Georgia. But for the most part, when I moved here essentially by myself. That being said, anytime I want to spend time with like my tried and true friends that I've had my whole life, childhood friends, my family members, anything like that, I have to travel to do so, or they have to travel to me. So I just have to pick and choose when I'm going to travel. So I chose not to make that trip to Columbus, Ohio in April, and it would have been the end of April, and I just didn't want to do so. We were thinking about going to this Ratchet Bingo show in May. In this month, we may still go, but we've gone before. It wasn't revolutionary. It was something to do, but honestly, we already have so many other things to do in May on top of working and ending the school year, which is hectic. So I'm not really concerned about us going. I wanted to book our summer vacation, which I did. We will be going to Miami. Almost anytime we go anywhere, especially if we're going somewhere where we have friends or family members, I almost always invite people to come hang with us. Like if we're going to a Hawks game in Atlanta or a Hornets game in Charlotte, or it doesn't matter where we're going, I always reach out to the people in that area because that's what I have to do when you live so far away from your friends and family members. And, you know, as you get older, everybody's all scattered about. So anyway, we were going to Miami, Florida anyway in June because I love Miami and I try to go as often as I can, which is like once a year. So we were going anyway, so I went ahead and invited our cousins who live there in Florida, and they're gonna join us for our summer vacation. Next up, I have on here to purchase the flight for my niece. So my niece is at an age now where she can fly to me. So it's really the best option. However, she may not be able to come, so I haven't booked the flight just yet. Also on here, I wanted to schedule our CPA appointment. I can't believe that was April. So we went to file our taxes, paid our taxes. I wanted to prep our taxes, do all the things with taxes. We did do that. I had on here to pay my eye doctor copay, but even though my eye doctor wanted to see me back in 6 months, realistically, when he wanted to see me back, like this time when I went in April, it was actually my annual checkup, so I didn't have to pay a copay for that. I was going to pay my medical bill, but honestly, I go to the doctor next month for my checkup. In June, I think. So yeah, so I'll just pay it then. It's $24. It's like a copay. It's fine. Otherwise, I have on here to buy these conference tickets for this behavioral health conference. I really should have gone. It's for school behavioral health. I've gone in the past, but unlike previous years, the district paid for us to go, or they have paid for us to go previously. This year, they were not going to pay for us to go. I would have had to pay out of pocket for this, and I just feel like if I'm gonna pay out of pocket, I should probably pay for a conference where I'm really gonna get a bunch of CEUs so I can use those CEUs to go towards my license when I renew it, which happens to be at the end of this year. So I'm basically just gonna pick something else better to go to. That's past anyway, so I missed it. I also wanted to pay my dentist copay, which I did do. I forgot I had a dental procedure in April. April was a blur. And then I had on here to get our HVAC repaired in April, and we did do that. That was something that I added later on. Now moving on to our income, we both got 2 paychecks, and then we actually got a tax refund from the state and a tax refund from the feds. So that was exciting. And honestly, the reason why we were able to save as much or do as much as we did, looking over our expenses, none of them were super out of the ordinary, for real. In total, we spent $6,351.01. We had budgeted to spend $6,493.57. In April, I wanted to take one personal day, which I happened to do on April the 3rd. As a reminder, I had spring break at the beginning of April. Well, technically the end of March until the 3rd week in April. So it was in total like 18 days. So 2 full weeks and then a couple days, basically, for which case my husband was at work that first week, and I decided that I would probably take my personal day that first week of my spring break. He did join me. His spring break was that second week. So we did have 1 week off together. But anyway, I had already decided I'm gonna take my personal day one day during that first week when I'm home alone anyway. And a personal day is something that I absolutely have to do. Some people may think I'm crazy, but I'm okay with what people think of me, because people are entitled to their opinions as I am entitled to mine. So I'm okay if people think I'm cray-cray, but I absolutely have to have some kind of personal day. I prefer every month. That seems realistic for me. But I mean, if it could be more, I'd be okay with that. But for whatever reason, in order for my cup to runneth over and for me to show up for people in my personal life and at work, you gotta understand, I'm a clinician. So I work with kids who have struggles, and I've always done so. So in order for me to be the best clinician that I can be, the best counselor, to show up for people, the best wife, yada, 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 I have to take care of self. I don't know, I just feel like when my cup is running over, then I can even extend myself more than what I could if my cup were empty or dry. I wanted to read 2 books. I read more than 2 books, so I achieved that. And then I also wanted to schedule the OBGYN, get laser hair removal, do my nails, and do my toenails. And I accomplished more of those self-care action steps, I guess, than I didn't. So I marked that as achieved. There were a lot of family projects type of things that I wanted to do around the house, thinking I was going to do those during my spring break. My spring break was out of control, filled with all sorts of different types of activities and functions. I didn't do that stuff, so that was not achieved. We did save $1,500 and we did invest 15% of our paychecks for relationships. I wanted to schedule friend dates, which I did. I saw all of my friends in April, so I love that for me. Well, all of my friends in the area, rather, I should say. Again, I can't just pop up and see my friends that I made before moving to Georgia because they don't live here or anywhere near here. That's the tragic part. And then, although I do have a friend who moved to the Charlotte area, but it's not a friend that I made before I moved to Georgia. So I do have friends that are more nearby now. I still don't have family members who are really close, and I don't think I have any family members who live even in a couple of hours of me. But I do have friends who are in surrounding areas, but they're not friends that I made before I moved to Georgia. I wanted to catch up with a friend and then host family friends, and we did do that. It was just on a smaller scale, and it wasn't in our home. For career, I actually did none of those things, but it's May, and I have been doing some of those things. For business, I wanted to secure 1 sponsorship. I secured more, but when I think of this, to make it consistent, I try to just write on here the ones that I produced in that particular month. So I just had 1 sponsorship that you would have seen in April. I wanted to publish 8 YouTube videos. I did not do that. You would think that I would have, considering I had 2 weeks off of work, but not so much. And then I wanted to work out 3 times, which honestly, this brings us to our monthly reflections. So we could probably go ahead and dive into there in a minute, but let's look at April and see how many times I worked out. If I worked out at least 3 times a week. I worked out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 times. And if you do 3 times 4 times, I basically barely made it. 12 is a little on the lower side for me, but if you do 3 times 4, and I'm trying to work out 3 times per week, and there are 4 weeks in a month usually, then you get about 12 per month. I try to do like 15, so every other day kind of thing, and that didn't happen in the month of April, but I technically still met that goal, so we can check off that one. I hadn't checked it because I wasn't too sure, but that is something that I did do, so I love that for me. Now let's go ahead and reflect on the month of April and go over my little monthly reflection sheet, and then we will move into, I forgot about that. We'll do that. I'll show you my April mood board, which is a part of my reflection, and then we'll move into talking about May. Okay, highs for the month of April is that I repaired my Dyson Detect V15 vacuum cleaner. Another high, and when I think of highs, I think of moments that I'm like, yes, like this is great, this is amazing, just life-changing types of things. I went to Sticks and Beans in Charlotte with some of my friends, and my cousin and her friends were in the area, so we all met up, and it's a cigar lounge, and I just want to say that it was so fun. I don't know what I was expecting, but it was top tier. My husband and I attended Dream Fest online because Amazon Music was streaming it, so that was really fun because we love J. Cole, and I've seen him in concert multiple times, but I've never been to Dreamville, which I should go, but I don't really love festivals. Between me and you, festivals and me don't really mix that well because it's normally hot and you gotta stand and it's just a lot going on. I'd rather not. Also, I was back to making my parfaits in April. I make these parfaits with Greek yogurt and plain Greek yogurt, or I might use vanilla if I'm feeling frisky, and then strawberries, blueberries, a little bit of granola, and then sugar-free chocolate chips topped with honey. If I use vanilla Greek yogurt, I won't use any honey or as much honey because the vanilla already provides some sweetness to it. So that's that on that. But I love those, and I was consuming those heavily in April. I also met so many new family members. Our Aunt Hazel passed away, and she was 98, I believe, and my husband was working and could not attend the funeral. So I went with his mom on his behalf, essentially. And I had met her before and stuff like that. So I went with her. We stayed overnight in Charlotte, which is how I ended up at Sticks and Beans, because after all was said and done, I hit the streets with friends and family members, as I'm known to do. But I just met so many family members, so that was fun. I had a decent eye report. I went to the dentist, I did go to the dentist, but I went to the ophthalmologist, I don't know, the eye doctor. He was checking up on something, following up on something, and everything was looking good, so I love that. We also had an amazing spring break, obviously. Anytime I'm not at work, it's a good time. And then I read 3+ books, which I guess we have to talk about. For Lowe's, we didn't have air for a few days, and they came on April the 3rd to fix it, so that was good. We didn't have air for like 4 days, so it was hot, and they came and fixed it though, so we're good there. My printer broke. The garage is messed up. There's a part that we need to repair for that. I attended a funeral, of course. My Apple Pencil broke, and I just bought that a few months ago because the other one broke. And so I was about to be done with Apple Pencils. However, I took it to Apple and they issued me a new one at no charge because it was still under warranty. But that was annoying because I'm like, I just bought that Apple Pencil, and I remember getting it on sale for like $80 for Black Friday, I think, because my other one had messed up. So my favorite coworker is no longer employed with us, and that is very sad. So that's definitely a low. So she's technically not my favorite coworker now. So now I just will refer to her as my friend because she is my friend, but she was also my favorite coworker, or the best coworker. Went to laser hair removal. That's torturous. Yes, I signed up for it. Yes, I went. Yes, I purposefully went to go get a touch up, which I get like once a year, and it was just horrific. I do not recommend. And then I also had a mental breakdown. Now the young kids are calling mental breakdowns menty bees or a menty bee, which is so funny to me. But I for sure had a mental breakdown in April, but I'm good now and I'm better. And my last one of this severity was in 2020. So I mean, I guess if the going rate is going to be a mental breakdown every 4 years that lasts a few days, then I guess I can live with that. I guess that's to be expected. Let's talk about lessons learned. I learned how to problem solve Dyson vacuum cleaners. I promise, I watched so many videos and such. I'm practically a pro. I need to open up a shop, a Dyson repair shop. No, for real, because I was deep in the trenches of learning just how to care for it. So just making sure that it lasts a long time, because I spent good money on that. Now this was years ago, but still, I want it to last as long as it possibly can. A lesson that I learned, and these lessons, sometimes they just come to me at random times, or sometimes I attend a training or a conference, or I'm having a conversation with somebody and I take, it's like a takeaway. I should call it a lesson or a monthly takeaway. But I learned that every relationship is different. I learned that I'm too old for the trampoline park. I went on a field trip to the trampoline park with the jumpy trampoline thing. You know what I'm talking about. Those were no joke. And that's hard work. So, I mean, it's good for exercise. I wasn't really going there to exercise because I had to work the rest of the day after we left. I wasn't going to sweat and such. So yeah, leisurely trampoline jumping is definitely not for me at my big age, but it would be great exercise. So, but I don't know. I learned different strokes for different folks. I'm newer to some roles, and I'll elaborate on this one, which is that when I think about me as a dog mom, as an example, well, I've only been a dog mom for maybe 3 years, barely. And so I feel like I've been able to extend myself a lot of grace because I'm in a newer role. You know, this is a new role to me. And so I hope that everyone can extend themselves grace when they're in a new role. I learned so many new line dances. We have started line dancing at my aunt's house because she's like top-notch line dancer. She knows them all and she loves to dance. And so we've been going there weekly to learn new line dances. And I didn't even know some of these existed. Some of them I've watched people do and I sit it out because I don't know it. So I feel like by the time that we're finished with all these classes, I'm gonna be a pro. So we've learned a lot of new line dances. I learned to always affirm yourself. So no one else is probably going to do it, so ensure that you are affirming yourself, whether that's telling yourself that you're beautiful or you're smart, whatever it is, whatever you got to do, you got to affirm yourself, because we cannot rely on other people for that. Just like we can't rely on other people to make us happy. I had cried so many crocodile tears in April that I learned that I cried so much that my eyes were puffy, and then I was like, why is that a thing? And I looked it up, and apparently when you cry a lot, your eyes can swell, like your tear ducts, essentially. And then also, if the tears are emotional tears, which I really don't know what other I guess tears could be from, I know people's eyes water for allergy reasons and stuff, but to just be crying a lot, I would imagine it would have to do with emotional tears. But anyway, if the tears are emotional, then it makes it even worse, or something like that I had read. So I was like, oh, interesting. Let's talk about my favorites. I think all of the books that I read were my favorite. I read Adversity for Sale by Jeezy. My husband and I did, and we loved that because we love Jeezy. It's not a book that everybody must read or anything. I wouldn't go and say all that, but it was a good book. And then we also read The Teacher. Oh my God. I don't think we put that book down. We read that together too, and we were just reading it, and it was an amazing book. I also read Thicker Than Water by Kerry Washington. Oh, The Teacher's by Frida McFadden, by the way, and Adversity for Sale by Jeezy Jenkins. But Thicker Than Water was so good. It was a great book too. But I really like reading memoirs and autobiographies, and I like to flip-flop, actually. I like to go between some kind of fiction to nonfiction, and that be my rotation. So I'm currently reading a nonfiction book because I just finished reading Thicker Than Water, and I loved that book. And right now what I'm reading is Meet Me at the Lake. I don't know what, here it is. I'm literally looking at it. It's on my home screen. Right there, Meet Me at the Lake. So I'm currently reading Meet Me at the Lake by Carly Fortune, and that's a pretty fun book. I'm not really too deep into it. I may be, 31% into the book. I'm not too deep into it, but so far it's been a fun read. We went to Atlanta for a day date, and I really don't even remember. Oh, we went to a Hawks game, I think, and Cheesecake Factory and a Hawks game. And I don't know what else we did, but it was so fun. And we went over spring break. Spring break with my hubs was one of my favorites. Outsourcing was my favorite. I did a lot of outsourcing in April, like the lawn care. We were like, let's have somebody come manage the lawn and cut the grass and all that, because we don't want to be bothered. Let's have someone come and repair our HVAC, because we didn't want to be bothered with it. And we've just been outsourcing as much as we possibly can, which is, not something we always do, but sometimes we dibble and dabble. I feel like I smoked hookah. I don't really smoke it, I just like puff it 2 or 3 times in April, which is kind of a lot for me because I normally do it like once or twice a year. So I did it a few times in April, but I love it though. So that was fun. The Cigar Lounge was a favorite. Oh, we went on a family outing with me, my husband, my mother-in-law, and her friend who's been around for 30 years. So it's kind of like an aunt to my husband specifically. And so we went on this little outing, and we didn't come out of pocket because my mother-in-law paid for our lunch, and we went to a free wine tasting. So it was a fun, free outing. We were not anticipating it not being free. Yeah, so that was fun, or it being free. We were not anticipating it being free, so that was fun. And then, you guys, we went to this thing called Iron Chef, where if you know, you know, but basically I didn't know. So you go, and then there are judges there, and there are chefs, and then there are participants like us. We also judge. I don't know how they kind of figure out who the winner is, if they take our judgment and the judge's judgment into consideration, but either way, it's a cook-off, and we try a bunch of foods from a bunch of different chefs, and then there's this method that we use to pick the best chef, and then, like I said, we all pick the best chef, and then the judges pick the best chef, and somehow, some way, they figure out who the winner is, and then they announce the winner. That was really fun. and something we'd never done before. And the food was really good. I feel like in April, the weather was perfect. As we are moving into May, and especially June, July, August, September, it's gonna be blazing hot here in Georgia. So I've been appreciating the spring weather, which I think is perfect weather. And then I also got a lot of new accessories in the month of April. I'm actually gonna share some of them in an upcoming video, so be on the lookout for that. And that is pretty much my April monthly reflection. As always, I was tracking sleeping 8 hours, exercising, reading, studying, not consuming alcohol, consuming low carbs, taking my medication, taking my vitamins, doing my skincare, and journaling. Of course, this is my mood board for April, so I'm gonna show you. That's just my cup, and I did this little white outline, and I've been writing on my mood boards just to make them a little bit more memorable, a little bit more memorable kind of thing. And I love this cup because those are my initials, and I love that for me. What else is on here? There's my parfait. That's one of the parfaits that I made. I really liked these flowers for whatever reason. I didn't take that picture. I got it from the internet, but that was cute. That was my mother-in-law and one of my new cousins that I met. I am the worst at taking pictures. In fact, this whole mood board thing is the only thing that really prompts me to take pictures, because sometimes when I'm updating it, let's say I'm sitting down each week to update it, I'm like, dang, I don't have any pictures to add, so let me take some pictures this upcoming week. And so they were asking me to take a picture of them, and that is the only picture that I have in my phone from that whole shebang. I don't have pictures when my cousin came to meet up with me, or when I was with my friend, or anything. So I literally have that from when we went to Charlotte. And then we went to Cheesecake Factory for our April date, and then the Hawks game. So that's what I got. I pretty much always get that. This is almost what I have on right now, actually. And then this is The Teacher, which is a psychological thriller, as you can see. And that's the picture that I took, and then I just outlined it. I went to the Special Olympics with some students, and so I have them on here. These are actually not my students. However, I have chosen I'm not sharing their faces because I don't show faces, but I just want you to know that as a social worker, obviously I can't share my clients, but these aren't my clients. But because I work for the school district, you're not supposed to share photos and videos of kids, although social media has people doing it, even though you're technically not supposed to. But I don't think people are really caring that much anyway, just because it's kind of hard to, it's not hard to not post people's kids and students, don't get me wrong, but what I'm saying is it's kind of hard to stay out the mix, I guess, in this world of social media. Because even me, if I didn't want to be posted somewhere and I wanted to control if I were posted, I wouldn't even be able to do a good job of that, because literally everywhere you turn, people are doing TikToks, taking pictures, taking videos. Does that make sense? What I'm saying is, it's just the world that we live in. But anywho, as a district employee, I'm also not supposed to share kids' faces, so I'm not supposed to share photos of them, so I just blurred them out. But yeah, I just want you to know those aren't my students. I don't want anybody to think I'm out here showing my clients in any way. If any of my students that I met with were in this, I wouldn't even posted it or put it on here at all. That's the Thicker Than Water book cover, Meet Me at the Lake book cover. That's my doggy in the sun, sunbathing. I love her. That's 2024. We went to breakfast. You know, we've not been in restaurants for real in this year at all. We've just pretty much been staying out of restaurants, and we really only go when invited or something like that, but we don't really just randomly go on our own. I went to the park for a solo park date. That's us smoking hookah. Oh, so I think I smoked hookah like, no, I think it was twice. It was twice. This place, and then at the cigar lounge. So, which is funny. I went to a cigar lounge. I don't think I've ever smoked a single puff or taken a puff of a cigar, but ironically, we were smoking hookah at the cigar lounge. We were doing a little shopping. My husband got a new wedding band, and then we saw this photo of his favorite, which is Kobe. And then we tried these little lavender lemon martinis. My husband was whipping up a HelloFresh meal, and I think he recorded it, and that video is on his channel. And then I think, and then that was my coworker's last day. So we went to a little lunch outing type of deal. to say goodbye to her and all the things. So that is my April mood board. Finally, let's talk about these May goals. One goal that I have is to take a personal day. Of course, I am aiming for May 11th. I don't know why. And then I want to read 2 or more books. For self-care, I want to schedule the OBGYN, do my nails, do my toenails, get my hair done, and I think I may get my eyebrows waxed. Maybe. For family, I want to do all the house projects. And I added on here to touch up the paint in the guest room and hang the curtains in the guest room. We want to save $17.50, invest 15% of our paychecks for relationships, schedule friend dates, catch up with a friend, be hosted by family/friends, because in May, we've been invited to a bunch of things. So I'm like, I'm not gonna get in the way of trying to host anything if y'all are hosting all these things. So instead of hosting, I want to be hosted. Complete the family reunion trip planning, complete our summer vacation trip planning. Next up, we need to pay our family reunion fees, which are due June 1st. I'll put on here to treat the mothers in our lives to maybe a Mother's Day shenanigan, only because I kind of feel like I have an idea of what we might be able to, like something fun we could do for Mother's Day. So we may do that, but of course I'm not gonna hijack the planning of it, because it's not me that is going to be celebrated. But I'm just saying I have an idea, and either way, whatever they want to do. And then I have on here to book the flight for my niece, but like I mentioned, she may not be coming, so we don't know what's happening with that. Go to lunch with my coworkers. We haven't been to lunch in a while. And then also, we are supposed to be starting marriage counseling in May. Let me tell you, we did premarital counseling, loved it. For me, I just have this thing. I'm just always trying to evolve and grow. And I just feel like, if there's something out there that is proven to kind of help in some type of regard, then I should do it. In life in general, it doesn't matter what it is. And so we went to premarital counseling, and we had to pay out of pocket for that, because you have to pay out of pocket typically for premarital counseling. Really, any kind of marriage counseling in any capacity or any groups, sometimes these clinicians cannot bill for it. They cannot bill insurance, because let's say I wanted to go to therapy and I went and I was diagnosed with something, then I could be treated through the therapist and they could bill my insurance, and I maybe would have to pay a copay. Same thing with my husband or you or whomever. But if you're going in for marriage counseling, you cannot diagnose a couple, so therefore they cannot bill insurance, so you have to pay out of pocket. So premarital counseling wasn't as expensive. We shouldn't have stopped, but once we got married, that would become marriage counseling, not premarital counseling, and that was going to cost them more. We could have continued on at that rate at $60 with counseling, but again, that's not the rate that it was going to be for marriage counseling. So we're supposed to start that in May, so we shall see. There's really no supposed to about it. It's scheduled, and we just got to go, and then we'll just kind of take it from there. For career, I've already done a couple of these things, but download study materials, schedule study times, and answer 15 questions when studying. That's for the app. I do have worksheets, but when I'm using the app, I want to make sure that in each session, I'm answering maybe like 15 questions. I feel like that's pretty good. I don't know. I've never really attempted to study for this at this rate. I just was fooling around previously. I want to secure 1 sponsorship, which I already have 1 lined up. I want to publish 8 YouTube videos and then work out 3 times per week. And those are all of my goals for the month of May. So that is going to be it for today's video. If you made it to the end of this video, you are the real MVP, because I feel like I just sat here and talked ad nauseum, but such is life. So anyway, that's going to be it for this video. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. If you did, give this video a like, subscribe if you're new, and if you're liking what you're seeing, and I will catch you guys right back here in a few days in a brand new video. Bye guys.